Hello there. I got commissioned to make something cool recently, so I figured I'd bring it out and talk about it before I get it shipped off. Here we have it. It's a little reproduction of the Two Row Wampum. So the Two Row Wampum represents an agreement between the Haudenosaunee and the Dutch, later the English as well. It's basically a treaty of friendship and non-interference. Most indigenous treaties prior to like the mid-1800s or whenever, they have a metaphor at the core of them. The idea there is that it prevents misunderstanding. We got two people who don't really speak the same language. Do we really want the agreement to rest on pedantic definitions that only one side really understands? No, that's not fair. The way that European powers resolve this issue is that they write three versions up. So in an agreement between the English and the French, let's say, there'd be an English version, a French version, and a Dutch version. They get a neutral party to break any ties. Anytime the English version disagrees with the French version, they default to the Dutch version, and so on. Now, indigenous people, because we didn't have writing, we weren't writing down specific phrasing, our solution was instead metaphor. We present a metaphor along with the agreement to ensure that everybody understands. If you understand the metaphor, there's no room for arguing. There's no room for lawyering your way into this, that, and the other. It's about the spirit of the law rather than the letter of the law, and so on. So the metaphor behind the Two Row is of a great river of life and two ships making their way side by side down that river. Neither ship is going to hog the river, drive the other one aground. Neither ship is going to try and steer the other. What happens if I'm in my canoe and you're in your canoe side by side and I'm trying to steer you along with my paddle? Well, what's going to happen is you're going to grab my paddle and then we're both going in the creek. Right? Two Row says we're not going to do that. So the Two Row went through a number of iterations throughout its life. The earliest version, which was made in, I think, 1613, I think, that may or may not have constituted a real treaty. It's debatable whether or not the Dutchman who made that treaty had the authority. Regardless, by the mid-1600s, there was a real treaty associated with it. Additional meanings got tacked onto the treaty at later dates. One of them is the covenant chain. So somebody says, well, let's tie our two canoes together. So if one of us runs aground, the other one, he's just going to get swung into the bank as well. One of us sinks, the other one is going to get dragged down along with it. So now it's a treaty of friendship as well as non-interference. We're going to support each other in this journey down the river of life. You guys ever need anything, you just give that rope a tug, and if we ever need anything, we'll give that rope a tug. And someone says, hey, wait a minute, what should we tie these canoes together with? Because rope is not very strong. It doesn't hold up well in the water. We should tie it together with something stronger than rope. Okay, well, let's use a nice iron chain. Well, no, iron's not very valuable. I value your friendship more than iron, and iron rusts. Let us tie it together with a silver chain. Well, silver tarnishes. Well, how's that different from rust? Well, silver tarnishes, but it doesn't degrade, it doesn't weaken. We just have to keep that chain polished. So we'll meet up every year or two to polish the chain, and our friendship shall be this ongoing thing. It will be this relationship that we're committed to. So the silver covenant chain of friendship gets attached to the Two Row. Those of you who've been on the internet for a while, you've probably seen some pictures of the Two Row belt. You've probably seen some pictures of different versions of them. One of the versions has got some great big gashes in the belt. Now that belt and that damage has got a story that goes along with it. It's not just the slow passage of time. So in the mid-1700s, the colonists and settlers, they started encroaching on Mohawk land. All these shysters and charlatans coming in and swindling people out of hundreds of thousands of acres. Mohawk people were obviously fed up with this. So one day, one of the chiefs, a fellow called Hendrick, it's not the same Hendrick as the four Mohawk kings, it's a different Hendrick. He goes and he meets with the powers that be in New York. And he brings along the Two Row belt. And he says, this is the significance of this. This is what it means. We've held up to our side of the bargain. And you guys haven't held up to yours. You guys have been bad friends. And we're sick of it. A friend does not come into our territory and swindle us out of it. Friends don't try and swindle each other. That's not how people should treat each other. So he pulls out his hunting knife and he cuts the belt. He throws it away and he says, "We're done. The covenant chain has been severed. The Two Row is over. We're done with you guys. It's over. It ain't going any further. We don't like you anymore. We don't want to see you anymore. Get the heck out of here. We're done." And the powers that be, they start panicking like, oh, uh-oh. I think we just screwed up. That's the most powerful indigenous nation, and they were our allies, and we just screwed that up. We had this nice, safe, comfortable buffer state between us and those bloody Frenchies, and we just screwed that up. We gotta fix this. We gotta fix this pronto. So they enlist the help of a fellow called Sir William Johnson. I forget if he was Indian agent at this time. He was renowned for his ability with the Mohawk language and for really understanding the culture, getting it. The Mohawk people liked the way that Sir William Johnson communicated to them. So he went in and he worked his political magic and he got the agreement restored. He presented the Haudenosaunee with a brand new Two Row Wampum belt. I know that the old one's been damaged, but we've rebuilt it in order to symbolize the renewal of this treaty. So if you've seen a picture of an old Two Row Wampum belt that doesn't have the gashes, that's that one that Sir William Johnson had made. To put it simply, the colonial powers have not held up to their end of the bargain very well. The Dutch have tried, to their credit, but they don't really have any political significance in North America. If I wanted to, I could fly to the Netherlands on a Haudenosaunee passport. They're one of the few countries that honors the Haudenosaunee passport. They've also tried to be our spokesman and representative at the United Nations and the League of Nations. They sponsored Levi General to go and talk back in the early 1900s. The Dutch have tried, to their credit. The Two Row belt was one of the things that sort of got us involved in the American Revolution. So people like Joseph Brant, we got this agreement with them. We got to take our agreement seriously if we want them to take their agreement seriously. We're allies, that's supposed to mean something. Because of that, we got all of our land stolen by the bloody Yanks. So Joseph Brant, he goes to the Governor General and says, "Hey, we had all of our land stolen because you guys left us in the lurch. We came into this war to help you and then you guys just left us. And we had all of our land stolen. That's not right. That's not fair. We tried to honor our side of the treaty. Are you guys going to honor yours?" So it's all passed along to King George and he issues the Haldimand Proclamation. Okay, we're going to try and make amends for that. We guarantee you this land in southwestern Ontario, yours till the end of time. The Haldimand Proclamation has connection to the Two Row Treaty, even if it's a little bit tenuous. Even though the Two Row hasn't been adhered to very well by the colonial powers, it's still significant for modern-day Indigenous politics because it's an example of an early agreement between Indigenous nation and a colonial nation, European nation. One of the primary sort of defenses that the European powers have put forward, the colonial powers have put forward, in defense of their treatment of Indigenous people is, well, they aren't real nations. How can we be bound to international law when the other side isn't even a nation? It's hardly international law. So if they're not a nation, they don't have laws and governance. They should be bound solely by our law, and our law says that they're subhuman. They're not Christian, therefore all their land is up for grabs. And something like the Two Row is an argument against this. Well, you made an agreement with them nation to nation. You acknowledged them as nations, therefore they are nations. The Two Row is a symbol of nationhood. Another way that people use the Two Row is as a philosophy of life. This metaphor of the Two Row, it isn't merely a representation of two specific nations. It's also a way that you should view the whole world. Everything else in that world, it's all going down that river of life. And you shouldn't try and steer their boat if you don't want them to steer your boat. It's like the golden rule, do unto others. There's that deer out there, and he's going down his river of life. And unless we want him to try and steer our boat, we shouldn't go trying to steer his boat. Don't go interfering with his journey, unless you got a bloody good reason. Don't go shooting deer unless you're going to eat them. Now, it's debatable whether or not the metaphor attached to the two row was ever intended to be a sort of overarching philosophy of life, but I find it plausible. And whether or not it's the historical opinion, it's how a lot of people treat it nowadays. And you know what? I think it's good words to live by. There's a reason every culture has their own variety of the golden rule. It's the closest you can get to like objective morality and so on. Anyway, I know I'm forgetting something, but that's all I can really think of to talk about right now. So I hope you found this interesting, and thank you for watching. See ya.